Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I have a Valentine's Day doll. And not only do I have a Valentine's Day doll, I made a Valentine's Day doll as part of a collab with 7 other awesome YouTube doll artists. Those doll artists are Etellan, Dolleemixtures, halicrafts, Josephines Creatures, K's OOAK Factory, Krystals Fantasy, and Unniedolls. I personally love how everyone's doll turned out, and I will link everyone's channel and videos down below. Please make sure to check them out. So since this is a Valentine's Day doll, I decided to be as basic can be and make a Cupid doll. So this is actually going to be a female Cupid doll. I know quite a few of you have been asking me to make a male doll, but I'm just going to be honest with you. I like working on female characters and designs more, but I did buy a male doll lot off of eBay, so it's gonna be raining men up in here soon. I swear to God, I'm actually excited. You're gonna get a man doll soon. I have so many men to choose from. We'll have like 3 dolls. Oh, by the way, elephant in the room, I gave my mini me a new face. Yeah, I didn't like her face, which is technically supposed to be my face. I didn't like it, so I gave her a new face. But anyway, for this Cupid doll, I wanted to go with a doll that I've been wanting to use for a while, which is Farrah Goodfairy. I think that she really suits this because she has a pink skin tone, she's adorable, she has a little like chubby cherub face, and I thought it would be fantastic for a Cupid doll. Let's get to the basics of every custom, which is cutting off all her hair, putting her head into hot water to pop it off, popping her head off, scraping around the inside of her head with a screwdriver, pulling out all of the hair plugs out throughout her neck hole with using those pliers, and taking off her factory paint with 100% acetone. Oh my god, look at that little cherub head. She's so freaking cute. I'm going to be rerooting, and when you reroot, it is recommended to paint the scalp the color of the hair that you're going to be using. So I am painting her scalp pink with acrylic paint, and I swear it's pink. It looks red here. I don't know why, but it's pink. The hair that I'm using is Dolly Planet's the Doll Planet. What am I saying? The Doll Planet's nylon doll hair in Truly Outrageous. It is truly outrageous. It is a hot pink, and I'm kind of in love with it. And I was kind of intimidated when I first chose it, but I'm kind of in love with it. I'm so happy I picked it out. But anyway, so I'm just looping a little bit of hair around the top of my finger, and then I'm looping that hair around the top of my reroot tool, and then I am plunging that hair into the head. Normally I like to cut my doll hair hanks in half so that I'm cheap. So I save doll hair, honestly. But since this is a special doll, I decided to use the whole hank and give her incredibly long hair. To seal all that doll hair in place, I'm taking Faber glue and I'm squeezing it through the neck hole. After about a day of letting it dry, I poured boiling water on top of her head to make the hair lay flat. Now we're on to the face up. Yay! So I spray the doll 3 times Mr. Super Clear. I wear a respirator mask when I spray. And I also let the spray dry between each layer for 15 minutes. We're starting with the eyes as per usual. And Farrah has really cute molded on smiley eyes. So I'm following her mold pretty closely. I love me some blotchy, blushy dolls, so I'm adding tons of pink, red, and purple all around the face, on the forehead, the cheeks, the nose, and the chin. With blue pan pastel, I'm applying that to the forehead, the eye area, the upper lip, the chin. I like to do this because I feel like it makes the skin look like it has more layers to it, because skin does have multiple layers to it, and I like recreating that on my doll. I wanted her to maintain that pinky, sort of unnatural skin tone, so instead of browns, I'm shading around the face with purples. As I mentioned earlier, I really like it when doll skin looks like it has multiple layers to it, so I'm taking a really sharp light blue pencil and I'm going around the eyes and the forehead with branch-like pencil marks to create a look of veins on the doll. So this is my first layer of the face up. This is the point where I can't build up pencils or pastels anymore, so I spray the doll with MSC and I go in for my second layer, which is this. So I start building up the eye color. I really like monochromatic dolls, so I made her have pink eyes. With white pan pastel, I start to highlight the middle of a lot of the curves on her face, so like the curve of her brow bone, the curve of her under eye, the curve of her upper lip, her chin. I'm just adding highlights, or my first stage of highlights, to the face. And this is basically my second stage of highlights. So at this point, I take a cream or white watercolor pencil and I start adding in more defined lines of highlights around the face. So like a line underneath the eyes, on the eyelid, on the inner tear duct, and this just really makes parts of the face stand out. With a small, flat, square brush, I start the dreaded eyebrow shape, which I actually like how our brows turned out, honestly. But then I also add to the gradient that's happening in the eyes. So I put pastels on top of the pencils that I put down because I just feel like it really speeds up the gradient process, because I ain't got time to sit there and blend layers and layers of pencils, okay? Then I go onto the eyebrow hair, which I always like to start the eyebrow hair at the front of the brow. I like to stick it straight up, and then as it gets to the tail of the eyebrow, it gets slightly like flatter or more sideways. By the way, do you guys hear my cat just screaming in the background while I'm recording this? Sorry. He likes to just run around and scream at night. It's his thing. For this doll's pupils, I went in with a Q-tip and purple pastels, and I gave her a little dot in the middle of her eye. With a color that's a couple shades lighter than the base color of this eye, in this case a really light pink, I am going in and I'm outlining around the eye, basically right next to the dark outline around the eye. I'm adding a highlight outline. I feel like it just makes the eyes look like they're glowing a little bit. At this stage, I'm just adding paint to certain areas, like the lashes, the eyebrows, the eyes. This is just so that these areas look a little bit more defined. They look a little bit more graphic, and I feel like it really draws your attention to these areas of the face, because you can get really nice lines with a pencil, but I feel like they're not going to look quite as graphic or intense as if you were to put down paint. With Vallejo gloss varnish, I apply some gloss to the lips. I also apply gloss to the eyes, but that's not until I'm done taking photos because it's really hard to photograph the eyes when they have gloss on them. Let's talk about clothes finally. So I wanted this outfit to be kind of feminine, also kind of masculine, and I was actually really inspired by Rococo male clothing. So yeah, that's what we're doing today. By no means am I trying to like recreate a Rococo outfit because honestly they look really detailed and beautiful, and I just don't think I have the skills to do that. But that's where I took inspiration from. For her top, basically the main design element that I wanted it to have was coattails. I just really wanted this doll to have coattails, so I incorporated those into her top. I hemmed the bottom of the sleeves. I also hemmed the back of the top where the clasp will be and the bottom of the front of the shirt. And then I sewed the front and back of the shirt together at the shoulders. I sewed the sleeves onto the top, and I actually end up editing the sleeves later because I just feel like these sleeves look kind of frumpy, honestly. And I just made them a little bit more flattering, and then I sewed the top up the sides. I also sewed clasps onto the back of the shirt. I applied gold ribbon to the trim of the shirt, basically just all over the shirt. I added some gold ribbon, and I applied the gold ribbon with Fabri-Tac glue. I sometimes prefer using Fabri-Tac glue to apply ribbon because I just feel like it gives me more of a clean finish at times. So the shirt ended up being a little bit too short. It ended up looking a little bit like a belly shirt, and that's not what I was going for. So instead of making a new one, because really ain't nobody got time for that, I took a little panel of ribbon and I took some Fabri-Tac glue and I glued that underneath my shirt, and it just kind of extends the bottom a little bit and makes it look like there's a shirt underneath the shirt. This is actually my first time sewing tights, but I cut out 2 pieces of gold fishnet, one for each leg, and began sewing it at the crotch. Then I sewed the stockings up the leg and then up her butt area. I feel like this might sound obvious, but it's pretty essential when you make tights or leggings to make sure that the fabric is at least fairly stretchy. Otherwise, it's going to be really hard to get these things off of your doll. These are the finished fishnets, and honestly, like, they're a little frumpy, but I mean, they'll do. I'm proud of myself. Alright, now on to bloomers, which I feel like these bloomers were basically like a troubleshooting nightmare. I had to make them twice. But the first thing that I do when I make them is I sew up the crotch of the crotch and then the butt area of the front and the back part of the bloomers. Once all that butt and crotch sewing was done, I sew the front and the back of the bloomers together at the sides. So I guess that elastic is kind of like essential to bloomers, I guess. I think, according to the YouTube videos I skimmed through. So I took this string of elastic and I folded fabric over it, and then I sewed the fabric around the string of elastic, and then I gathered my string of elastic, and it gave me that like gathery, like ruffly, puckered look that bloomers have. I feel like a talent of mine is hiding my janky clothing behind pretty ribbons and lace and things. It's like, don't look at how janky these bloomers look, because they look truly janky if you look very close. Look at this pretty, shiny, glittery ribbon on top. For the gathering at the bottom of the bloomers, I actually had to go in and pinch sections of the fabric and then sew that in place, because I just don't understand how you would do it any other way for such tiny little shorts, basically. And once I was done that, creating like a ruffly effect at the bottom of the bloomers, I sewed them up the sides and at the crotch. These are my finished bloomers. I guess they look kind of bloomery. Let me know in the comments below. Do they look okay? I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, so we're making this is what Google calls this. This is called a Jabot. It is like that bib thing that Rococo people wear. So I cut a little piece of fabric and then I ruffled together 3 tiers of lace and sewed them to the little piece of fabric. Once I was done that, I took a string of ribbon and I glued that to the top of my Jabot. I guess that's what it's called. How is that its name? It sounds so strange. So I have this lace and I cut this little part right here, and then I took my Fabri-Tac glue and I glued that to the ribbon on my Jabot, and then I glued a heart rhinestone on top of the lace. And my God, you guys, we have a Jabot. So that's my Jabot. I'm really happy with my Jabot. Now onto my sleeves, which I was not happy with, so I took them off of the shirt. And I created different sleeves. So these sleeves, they're tighter at the top of the arm, and then they flare out, and I just like the look of it a bit better. I needed some tiny bows, so I took this fork bow method, which I will link a video down below that goes into depth on how to do this. It's very easy. It makes tiny bows if you have little pieces of ribbon. And I needed some tiny bows for my doll's hair and also her bloomers. I took hot glue and I hot glued the bows to my bloomers, and then I hot glued a pearl on top of the bows. So this is my bloomer's final form, and I'm just really digging them. Like, that was a lot of bloomering, and it was a little exhausting, but I'm happy with the final result. So my doll really needed a bow and some other essential Cupid things, so I made a little snake out of epoxy sculpt. I drew out the general design that I wanted for the bow, mostly for the scale that I wanted. I drew it out, and then I kind of curled up the ends. To attach the string of my bows, I put 2 little holes on the bottom and the top of my bow. I decided I wanted my bow to have a wood texture to it, so I started carving out the lines of wood on the bow. Once the bow completely dried, I painted the bow brown, and then I dry brushed the gold paint on top of it. I decided that it needed more pink because doesn't everything? So I took my glue gun and I applied 2 little gemstones to the back and the front of my bow. Taking some thread, I basically laced that around the holes that I made earlier, and that made the string of my bow. Onto her shoes. So I painted her shoes pink to match her outfit a little bit better, and I also picked out the details on the shoes with gold paint. With gloss varnish, I sealed all that paint in. Now for the arrow holder. So to get the arrow holder, I am using Worbla for the first time. I am heating it up with my blow dryer, and then I'm wrapping it around this marker. So if you do that, I recommend wrapping whatever you wrap Worbla around with plastic wrap, because it's kind of hard to get it off the marker. And then I cut a little circle and I attach that to the bottom of my arrow holder to create the base. Now it's on to decorating my arrow holder. So I took my hot glue gun and I put a little gem on there, and then I made like little swirly designs on the arrow holder with my hot glue gun. I'm basically just trying to give it a little bit more of an interesting texture. I painted the arrow holder very similarly to how I painted the bow, so I painted it in dark brown, and then I dry brushed gold on top of it. I put a chain on the arrow holder as well so that she could kind of wear it as a bag, and I wrapped ribbon around the top of it. This is the finished arrow holder, and I really want to play with more Worbla. Like, I'm digging how it turned out. Now onto the arrows. So I am here painting the top of the arrows and then the little like feathers that come out of arrows. For the arrows themselves, I'm using a toothpick, and then I'm gluing the top of the arrows to the toothpick and then the little feathers on the side. Alright, so I would like to personally apologize to all the My Little Pony fans, because I'm about to do something real not very nice to these My Little Pony figurines. I'm sorry. Alright, so I'm taking their wings. Well, I'm taking one of their wings. And I bought like 3 little My Little Ponies, and I genuinely feel bad because they are adorable, and I actually want to repaint one. And now I have an excess of them around my apartment, so I'm definitely going to. But I decided to go with this one. So I don't know who this lady is. I tried to rip her wings off at first. It was not happening. So I had to cut her hair, because we're going to be going in with my Dremel and cutting them off. Alright, so here they are all cut off, and I think that they fit really well with my Ever After High doll. I don't have an X-Acto blade for some reason. You would think that I would, because it's something that's kind of essential with a lot of doll customizing, but I don't. I need to go to the store and get one. But I do have wood carving tools, so I'm just cutting off the sort of messy edge that these had from getting cut with my Dremel tool. I also decided that they needed to be a little bit more pink because they are quite purpley. So I am taking glue and I am sprinkling on some pink glitter. After that, I sealed in the glitter with a coat of glue and then gloss varnish. To attach these wings, I just hot glued them in place, and then once the hot glue dried, I went over basically all of the hot glue and where the wings hit the back with epoxy glue. I always feel the need to blush like all of the bodies of my dolls, so I sanded off her panties and then I went over her body with basically the same tones that I used on her face. I used on her body and blushed her. Now for hair. So after getting 4 billion comments to buy a metal chopstick to do curls, I decided to buy a metal chopstick to do curls, and that's what we're doing right now. So I wrapped the hair around the metal chopstick, and then I took my flat iron and I ironed them in place, and guess what? It worked, and it worked pretty well. So thanks everybody. To decorate her hair, I have these thumbtacks and these earrings. So I took these little heart earrings and I stabbed them into her head. Yeah, and then I took these little thumbtacks that are in the shape of a rose and I also stabbed those into her head. As a last final touch for this doll, I decided to glue some little sequin hearts onto her cheeks. And after all of that work, she's done. I really do like how she turned out. Let me know what you guys think about her down below. Did you guys make a Valentine's Day doll? If you guys customize dolls, let me know down below as well. And again, guys, this is a collab, so please go check out all the videos down below. Everybody works so hard on them, and I love how everybody's doll turned out. So again, those are linked down below. Please check them out. If you guys like this video, subscribe. It makes me happy. I hope you guys are having an awesome day, and I hope that you have a good Valentine's Day. I'm working on Valentine's Day, so my Valentine's Day is gonna kind of suck. But yeah, like this video if you like this video, subscribe. It makes me happy, and I hope you guys are having a beautiful day.